Welcome everyone to our Pioneers of Pikes Peak program today. We have a very special guest panel for you guys today in memory or in honor of Pikes Peak Marathon's 70th anniversary, the oldest continuously held marathon. We have secured a very amazing panel of just incredible Pikes Peak runners, some of the best, not only the best in Colorado, the best in the world, and definitely some of the best to Pikes Peak. And oh my gosh, I can't believe, I just feel like I'm around a bunch of celebrities. This is incredible. And we're so happy to have them here. So I'll introduce you to Jonathan Levitt. He will be producing the program for this afternoon, and enjoy.
Thank you, Kathy. Oh, that one's loud. And we have Kim Dobson as well. I'm John. I host the For the Long Run podcast, as we have tons of branding here in case you forget. And my podcast is all about exploring the why. And we're going to explore the why of Pikes Peak and what all of these amazing runners bring to the trails and bring to our running community, and how things have changed over the years. The mountain is still similar. It still snows in September, sometimes August, and sometimes July, I suppose. But a lot has changed and a lot has stayed the same at the same time. So we have some absolute legends here up on the stage, as well as sitting next to me as well. Kim Dobson has had some amazing finishes at this race as well. Kim, do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. Hi, my name is Kim Dobson, and I first ran the Ascent in 2009, and I have run many times.
Yep, there we go.
Okay. I've run the Ascent many times. I doubled twice, and this is just a very special race to me. So I'm honored to be here with all of these legends today.
Amazing. Okay, so we have some questions. We're going to talk through it. This is going to be conversational around your experience running the race. We want to get people hyped up who are running. If you're listening and you're running this weekend, raise your hand. If you're running the Ascent, let's hear it. Woo! And keep your hand up if you're doing it for the first time. What about the marathon?
Yeah.
Who's running the marathon? What about for the first time? Is anyone up here racing this weekend? I see some bands on the wrists. Amazing. All right, let's start, and we'll get into it. Can we pass Ron the mic? Ron has the mic. So Ron was the race director for over 2 decades. He has competed in the Golden Trail World Series, and we have some very amazing runners here. So when did you first run Pikes Peak? Oh.
Test.
Ron, when? Oh. So Ron, when did Pikes Peak find you, or when did you find Pikes Peak?
There we go. Well, I moved back to 52, realized and learned there was a race up Pikes Peak, said I got to do it. So in 93, I did the Ascent. In 94, I did the marathon and also worked the summit for the Ascent. 95, I did the marathon and was summit chief, and I stayed summit chief for quite a few years until becoming race director in 2001. First race 2002.
What was it about Pikes Peak that drew you in and kept you in?
Oh, okay. Big part is I grew up just 30 miles north of here, looking at Pikes Peak every day I got up, and just loving the mountains here. And then started running, came to Colorado, started trail running, and just how can you not fall in love with this mountain?
What was the trail running scene in the 90s?
Eclectic. It was, this was just the start of what I called the running boom, the Forrest Gump running era and type thing. And so you had groups like Peak Busters and just were coming. It wasn't really well known. But then we had a runner up here be on the front of Runner's World magazine and kind of put us on the map back then. And so Ms. Metzler. So it was very low key, very simple race. The aid stations had just the basics, and it was just put on your bib, go to the top, and we didn't know where you were until you crossed the finish line. So, and then it was just a matter of keeping up with the trends in running of chip timing and that type of thing. And so, but yeah, back then it was very much a group coming every year and just having a great time here in Manitou Springs.
Ron, what would you say to someone who's running either the Ascent or the marathon for the first time?
Don't go out too fast. It always happens. You hit the W's, you're all piped up, and then you need to save some for that last 3 or 4 miles. You made the same mistake. So, and just pace, especially if you haven't trained on Pikes Peak and don't know it. The usual run when you can, walk when you can. Or is it the other way around? Walk when you...
I think you got it.
Maybe that's why
Try running when you can. That's a good idea.
Maybe that's why I didn't do very good. Anyway.
Well, it looks like a good day tomorrow. You can get up there and give it another go.
Anyway, yeah, and so, yeah, and just enjoy it. I mean, the views and spectacular scenery and the camaraderie, and our aid stations are the best in the world because it's made up a lot of former runners who really know what you're going through. So just enjoy it. Pace yourself, and you'll have a great day.
Thank you, Ron. Can we pass the mic to Yvonne?
To me?
Yes, you are up next. So you ran your first Pikes Peak Marathon in 1977, sorry. 1967, and
Still have the 1967 Pikes Peak runners, and yeah, I keep all of that wonderful memory with me. I love this amazing. I love the people who set it up. Just absolutely wonderful. I've come here 14, 15 times in the past. My last one was 2005, and I was the oldest one, I think, and it was amazing. So I'm sweating with this jacket, but it doesn't matter because I really need to show and tell
Pride.
right away, and the medals and all of that. But most of all, what I really would like to mention is the people who set this up, who do this, who are so diligently working on it, the volunteers, all of that. This is a lot of work, and the people who are bringing it in, and then the trail, and all of this. We all know what it entails, and it is just, I thank them for it, and I hope that you continue to do this. So keep on shining and do this. The stories that I have remembered, they are incredible. Maybe any of you will mention that, like the guy with the peanut, on the trail, with his mouth on the dirt and pulling that peanut up. 4 of them, they were doing that. And then also, here.
Hang on one second.
Don't forget this Carl McDaniel, the race director at the time, with one arm. What a dear he was. And then Rick Trujillo, there's a picture there. We just came from the museum, and you all have to go to the museum. It's a wonderful display. Mary put that display on, and it is just fantastic. Look at it, then you can sort of get a glimpse of what this all is and what we are enduring when we go up. And we all do that for our own, we have each our own reason why we do that, right? And so this makes it very, very special. And then also the Walter Stack. You people, oh yes, you people don't even know the Walter Stack. The bare-chested guy from San Francisco. Oh my God, with the beer in his hand and all of that. He was the only one who was able to go to the Peakbuster meeting as a man. All other men was. And he was just amazing. Everything vibrated around him. It was just amazing. But going up on the trail, this beautiful mountain knows what it wants to do to us. So as we make it to the hail and the storm and the rain and all of that with broken ankles and whatever and so on. And
Let's hope no broken ankles, yeah. Rain and hail is okay, but let's skip the broken ankles.
It's amazing. You become only stronger and more loving and more enduring and compassion for yourself too and for others. I mean, this whole thing that you people put up is very special. And I'm hearing, and I made friends with all these people here who I encounter, and you know, they come and they come again and they want it again. And you say, why do they do that? Well, that mountain. As you walk on that, you see the cockrail, and that's also fun to go, of course. But then you can see the trail. It's just amazing, and sometimes the peak is full of snow, and now it is green. So it's always different, and it makes it so amazingly challenging, I think. And so, but I just want to tell you that I also want to really give tremendous thumbs up for the amazing, strong, young and old and whatever, the women who run this, and some of them, and here they are, and here they are, and here they are. You know, it's so amazing, and we're still alive, and we have done it, and we can still feel it, and we can remember this as I do. And so, you know, you share your passion, and you also, when you do this, you become mentally and physically stronger. It is just no other way around. You do that when the body says, okay, now this is enough. This has to take over.
Listen to the mind.
In our life that we all are living, you know, hey, this is a very important task. This we need to make stronger. We all need to be that way. And so this is what I want to let you know. Happy memories and great celebration. And I thank you all for this wonderful camaraderie. And we all are friends together, and we go home with beautiful memories. We'll never and never forget. I don't. 20 years ago, I did this year. I'm sweating in this jacket, but anyway. So,
I want to thank Yvonne for her keynote here. You've answered all of my questions. Kim, do you have any questions for Yvonne?
all right.
Thank you. I love the passion, and it's clear that this race and to everyone else up here.
Absolutely, for all of us.
Can we pass the mic to Bill, please? Bill, it looks like your first run was 1984. You've done it, is 53 times? Is that correct?
Yeah, technically I'm retired, so I'm going to go up tomorrow just for old time's sake. But I started in '84 and retired 2 years ago. My wife kept saying, you know, how long are you going to do this? And I said, well, let me get to 40 and I'll retire. And so I kind of called it quits a couple of years ago. So, I first found out about the Pikes Peak Marathon. My folks lived in Red River, New Mexico at the time, and I was watching Wide World of Sports. You got to be old to remember Wide World of Sports. And they covered, I think it was the 82 marathon. And here was this little Al Waukee guy gliding down these rocks, and I thought, I got to try that sometime. And so 84 was my first year, and I just kept coming back. And
Why'd you keep coming back?
some people call us nuts. I don't know. And I've run 114 ultramarathons. So, but this race always would go on the calendar first. And so, and I've doubled, not as much as this guy, but I think 12 or 13 times. And it got hard to juggle some of the race calendar with 100-milers and things like that. But I just love coming out here and the camaraderie. On our van ride back in 1984, there was 4 of us. We created the Arkansas Pikes Peak Marathon Society. And so that grew and grew. And I think one year we had, like 214 runners out. And so,
Anyone out there from Arkansas?
It's always been about camaraderie. How I got started was a friend of mine who turned out to be my running mentor. He's the one that taught me into coming out in 84. I lost him 14 years ago to cancer, and there's one of the memorial plaques on top for Larry, and some of his ashes are sprinkled up there. And so I've told my wife, I said, you know, when I'm gone, you know where to put some of my ashes.
So you've run a handful of times up there. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are out there doing it for their first time. What do you want to tell those people?
It's the age old. It's just, man, just take your time going up the incline. It's a long race. If you're doing the marathon, the round trip, you know, it doesn't start until you get to the top and come back down. More people ask me, well, it's once you get the top, that's the easy part's coming down. I'm like, no, that's the hard part. You've climbed on quads that far and that hard. Coming down is really, really hard. We've had some super athletes out here that can prove that wrong, but to the mortal men, the coming down is the hard part. And so you just have to pace yourself and be ready for the challenges the mountain gives you, whether it's weather or trail conditions or whatever.
I did the Grand Traverse a few weeks ago and had 4.5 miles of downhill, and I think those 4.5 miles crushed me more than the first 35, and I can't imagine a half marathon of downhill like that. Kim, any tips on that for you? I know you, for the downhill.
I've mostly run the Ascent, but I did double twice, and when I doubled, my goal was to get to bar camp having not crashed. Because if you wreck yourself by falling and breaking your ankle or something like that, your race is over. But once you get to bar camp, there's several miles of smooth and you can really pick it up. Then the W's are tricky again, but just don't fall. Focus from the summit to bar camp because it's pretty rocky.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Bill. Can we pass the mic to Dominic?
I have to stand up?
No, we can hear it. You can stand up if you want.
It sounds like Catholic school. Stand up. 9 years of Catholic school.
Dominic, so what brings you to Pikes Peak? What gets you excited about this mountain of all the mountains you can run out here?
Man, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome all you runners, racers, fans. And man, it's a lot different from early 1970s. I'm the son of the king of the mountain, Stephen Gotchapin. That really pushed Richard Hill to break his record. So that's why Rick is sitting here next to me. And I saw his last race, his last win in 1977. I remember that. Yes. Then he'll get up. And then I remember Walt Stack. He was the stud of the whole race. Topless, San Francisco weather, I guess he thought. But man, we called him Uncle Walt Stack. And he was a huge part of my father's life. And just being around the people we have connected with so many people here. I mean, we call each other family. I mean, here's Rick Trujillo. I mean, he's a legend. And it's a lot of work that you all put into to get atop of that mountain. It's not a hill. It's a very high, special place up there. And I have so many stories about Pike's Peak. I mean, when I was a child, coming up here supporting my father, thinking, oh, we're just going to another race. But as a child, I never knew that he was a champion. 6-time champion.
He was the champion to you, no matter what.
Yeah. So, but man, it's a great honor of being here and being invited to be part of Pike's Peak 2025. And some of you may not know, I lost my father July 30th. So we're both planning to come up here. So today I'm representing him. And I've done some training runs up there. It's very challenging. As a collegiate runner at Adams State, I was trained by Coach Joe Ivyhill, Olympic champ coach. So it was great to know both my father and coach. Because I lost them both. Yeah, in 12 days. Coach Vigil and my father. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, there's a lot of memories here. But the one story I love to share is when I was training for Adams, I did a workout here. I got up to bar camp. It was a very dry, hot day. And man, I was just like, needed some water. Like, man, where can I? Then I saw a gentleman with 2 young boys. And I asked him, I approached him and said, hey, you have any extra water? Then he goes, no, I don't have any water. It's like, it's just for us, and we still got to camp till tomorrow and all that. It's like, so all right, it's fine. I'll get back down. I'll make it back down. It's only 7 miles down. So then he calls me and said, you have a few minutes? I'm going to share a story with you. So all right, go ahead. And in the 60s, I guess his father used to take him up there too, to camp, to wait for the runners to come through in the morning. So in 1966, as a young boy, now he's a father. Said, as he comes out of the tent, you see this little Indian guy runs by the trail. Then I tell him, so you know who that was? No, that's my father, I said, Steve Gotchapin. And then this gentleman said, yeah, we'll give you some water. You want an apple? You want? First, I was unknown. I was a bandit runner. But after I shared my story, I mean, I was given water. So in a way, that's how my father was. That's who he is. He will give his last dollar, whatever he's just that kind of a person. And I know that the last few years in his life, he struggled, but he still looked forward to coming to Pike's Peak. And Ron did a great job of taking care of my father here. I mean, taking care of my parents, my family, and the red carpet treatment. It's great. And just, I don't know if Carl McDaniel's family's here. I heard that they were coming up. So, I mean, I give kudos to them too. Carl McDaniel took care of my father. And Rudy Fall in his blue warm-up suit back in the 70s. That's how I remember Rudy Fall as a child. This race director in a blue outfit. Very friendly. Taking care of my father. And yeah, I mean, there's so much stories. How he became interest for him to race Pike's Peak was that July of '66, he ran the Denver Marathon. Never ran a marathon, his debut at Washington Park. So the gun goes off. He takes the lead. So about 300 meters left into the race here, he started staggering because he started seeing stars because crazy Steve Gotchby forgot to hydrate all the water stops. So thinking, oh, I'm a tough, but it's the middle of summer. Pavement. So this long strided, he didn't know who he was. He got out-kicked at the finish at his first marathon, the debut, the month before Pike's Peak. So the race directors, after the race, approached my father and goes, Steven, I think you're more fit for a mountain run. And I don't know if it was Chippendale, someone that he talks about that I remember. And then, and as you're going home on your bus ride, he came up on a Greyhound. So when you get to Colorado Springs, look to your right. You see that mountain, Pike's Peak. He gets home, he's all excited, pumped up. Talks to my father, my mother. So we're going back up. We're all going now. We're driving up. I'm gonna race in that Pike's Peak Marathon. So as we're all usually, I mean, we're late. That's how I was almost late today, just like the spirit of my father. So he was late so he got here like the night before, kind of late. So they were like walking the main street. They're in the window glass. There's trophies already written. Said John Rose, champion. So everything was already written for John Rose. Then my father's like, oh man, I'm not gonna race. Everything's already written that John Rose is gonna win. Then my mom goes, no, you already trained. You're ready for this. So the following morning comes, the gun goes off. There's like about 6, 7 guys, John Rose and his training partner and my dad and some other unknown runners. 3 miles, slowly started dropping off. The next thing you know, it was only he and John Rose in the race. And then John Rose stops like at 5 miles to tie his shoelace. Then he tells my dad, just keep going, stay on your left. I'll catch up to you. So my father goes, I don't even know this guy. Did he give me the right directions? I mean, he just told me to stay on the left. But he kept going, and there's no sign of John Rose. Like, where is he? Did he send me the wrong way? Then he gets to the top, turns around, close to the stairs. Man, he saw John Rose hauling, going after and said, I'm going to come get you. Then my dad goes, go ahead. So he shifted, came back down. And that's how he became king of the mountain. 1966, his first win. Then he continued on to 1971. And 1968 was his best year, and that was his Olympic year. He ran in the 1968 Olympic trials. And my father, nowadays, runners don't do that. He ran La Luz Trail in Albuquerque. He came to Pike's Peak Marathon like a week later, and then a week later he runs the trials in Alamosa, Colorado. 3 big races where he always says it was like, man, should I have been in Mexico? But there are so many stories about my father, and it's just great to see everyone here. In spirit, my father's here with his family.
And if I may, Dominic.
All right, Ron.
Steve would come every year, and he'd help start the races. But the main thing on Ascent Day, we'd get him to the top. He'd sit at the last switchback where you take the left before the finish. He'd sit there all day till 2 to 2:30 until the last runner came through. We're taking water to him and food and say, Steve, take a break. But he would not leave and stay there and greet every runner. He was an amazing man.
Thanks for adding that. Thanks for the great stories.
Yeah, so, I don't want to take all the time from all these great people up here. And I was just honored to be part of the panel. And good luck to everyone. And I know that we all train for the race, so I won't be running. Maybe next year, like my father says. Maybe next year.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, all right.
We'll get you a bib.
All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Can we pass the mic to Charlene?
Charlene.
Charlene has run the most marathons. Is that true?
I've run the most Ascent and marathon
Most
races.
Ascent and marathon races.
In the well, I started in 1987, and I did 7 Ascents, and then 3 marathons, and then after that, we had moved to Indiana, and so when I'd come back, I'd do the doubles. So I did 20 doubles. So
20 doubles.
It's total of 53. There's a couple OCOs, and there's a one in 2008 that I do have to share. That it's unofficial, but that was the only Ascentathon I did and didn't get credit. And what is that? That is when there is snow and a blizzard and ice, and they're getting ready to turn everyone around. And my good friend Carolyn Moon and I happened to be at the top, and search and rescue said, go ahead. Well, we started up, and I started getting hypothermic, and I knew I was in trouble. And the ice was, you couldn't see, the wind was probably 50 miles an hour. So we made the choice to turn around. And I want to just say, in saying this, that there are some times it's really hard to make that choice. You know you gotta quit and turn around, because if something had happened to me, I was gonna be endangering volunteers, search and rescue. But we had a nice run hike down the mountain to Memorial Park. And although that wasn't counted, I did do the marathon the next day. So.
So what's the secret? How do you do the double? Is anyone out there doing the double this weekend? Let's hear it. What guidance do you have for these
You're
people?
gonna love it, because, well, I love this mountain and I love doing this bar trail. So when I'd finish the ascent, I always had this anticipation, I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. And
then you did.
For those of you that maybe are doing it the first time, I often did the ascent faster the second day. So there you go. So.
That's the secret. You gotta go faster the second day.
Yeah, you get to the top faster.
Just move faster. It's that
But if
easy,
anyone
right?
has a question, just shoot it.
Is there a year that was particularly memorable beyond all of the others?
Well, the Ascentathon certainly was, but probably the best one was 2006. I was coming down, and I was, if you're familiar with the no-name aid station, I was probably about a mile from that, and I fell or crashed and just briefly knocked myself out, and some other runners came by and picked me up and said, oh my gosh, you know, and I said, well, first thing you look when you're a runner is, can I still,
Are my knees
my
intact?
legs still work, yes. And no, I said, go on, I'll be fine. And they said, well, we'll let them know at the next aid station, which was No Name Creek, and medical's there. And I was pretty sure I had broken ribs on my left side, and I was, you know, scraped up, but that was the big thing. So I had time to think about it as I was trotting along and holding my ribs. And when I got to the aid station, I just gave them a wide berth, because I knew if they knew how bad I was hurt, they'd probably pull me. And so I continued on, and these two runners that had picked me up, I caught up with them, and they turned around and they went, "Oh my God, I said, well, I'm a woman on a mission." So I did make it to the finish, and in the med tent, there was a doctor, and everyone was checking me out and kind of patching up my knees and all. And so they had me on a cot, and they were really concerned because if you have broken ribs, it could be a danger of spleen. And so they were wanting to take me to the hospital. But my best friend, Carolyn Moon, comes over to me and says, "Guess what? You won your age division." So that was probably the most memorable. And then, so I got permission from the doctors to hobble back over to Soda Springs Park. And I was always really happy that Matt Carpenter was handing out the awards that day, so that was kind of special. But I was fine. They did take me in the ambulance to the hospital. But yeah, I had broken ribs, but I had my medal.
And an official finish.
Yeah, so that was probably the most memorable.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we pass it over to Carolyn? Mike doesn't have to go that far this time.
My name's Carolyn, and Charlene got me started on this in 1995. We were working together, and she asked if I wanted to hike up the mountain. And I said, sure. So we got up to No Name Creek, and she said, did you like that? You want to go further? And I said, sure. So I went up in my cheap Kmart high tops and ended up coming back down. I had to work that day, and we got home, and we had no hot water or water. So I had to wait, and then I got into work. I couldn't move. I couldn't move. Anyway, so Charlene came in like a day or two later, and she said, she had this piece of paper in her hand, and she says, sign here and give me $35. You're doing the race. And I did. And I was 41. That was the first race I ever did in my life. And I've done 27. 2 I did not finish. One was the Ascentathon. And 5 back-to-back. 5 marathon ascents. And we're still buddies, and we still support each other. So if you ever hear about Charlene, I'm her sidekick, because nobody usually knows who I am. Anyway, so who's next?
We have Brenton next.
What do you want to know?
So you've got the record for the longest streak.
I've done the most, yeah.
Why so many? What keeps you coming back? It's
Damn
crazy.
if I know. I keep trying to figure it out myself.
So when you're standing on the starting line, looking to do it again and again and again, what are you thinking as you're standing there?
Oh no, another time. Seriously, I love the race. It's great fun. All the people are fun. And you come back and you'd be amazed at how many best friends you can have that you only see once a year. Great time. I love seeing all the wristbands out here. And what do you want to hear?
You've done it more than 70 finishes.
I did my first in 1983. I doubled in 88 and in 90. And then in 93, I thought, well, why would I ever do anything other than double? And so
I've got some ideas.
I doubled and doubled and doubled. From 93 until 2021, I did every single Pikes Peak race. the ascents and the marathons. And then I kind of got tired. So I skipped the year and only did the marathon. Only. Hear that? Only the marathon. Then I doubled again in
You were refreshed.
23, and then I said, okay, wow, that's 30. It's a nice round number. I'm going to stop there. So 30 doubles, and if I finish below the cutoff time on Sunday, this will be 72 races in 43 years.
It's a lot of races.
It's a lot of races, but it's a lot of fun. And as Charlene said, you know, it doesn't do you any good if you're doubling. Yeah, I'm talking to you. If you're doubling, don't think, oh, maybe I need to take it easy on Saturday on the Ascent and save something for tomorrow.
Empty the tank. That's the
Don't
secret.
do it. Go all the way up. Finish as quick as you can on Ascent day. Marathon day, just show up at the start. And like Charlene says, it's amazing how close your ascent time is the second day to what it is the first day. It just works out that way. You saw it. Didn't you? I mean, it was close for you.
I was 8 minutes slower the second ascent, but both years 8 minutes. But I will say that if you are doubling, you just eat and drink as much as you can all day on Saturday after you finish. Because one year I did not eat and drink, and I barely could jog the next day.
Oh, yeah.
That piece is key. If you eat and drink like it's your job, you could probably match your ascent time on Sunday.
Yeah, you can pop a second multivitamin after you do the ascent, because it's like you've done a whole year, a whole day worth of living.
What are you looking forward to most about Sunday?
What she said. Finishing. Yeah. You know, half the race is above timberline. For those of you who haven't done it, those of you who've done it, you already know this. Half the race is above timberline. You get to timberline and it's just like, oh, I got to get up there. And you get up there. And then you have to say, okay, now I turn around. And you turn around. No offense, I don't agree with your advice, because I don't think I've ever not fallen. I think maybe there are a couple of years I haven't fallen. A lot of it is learning how to fall. When I fall, mid-air, I flip over so I fall on my back instead of my face.
That's impressive. We need drones up there to capture that.
That's a good tip. Try not to fall on your face. If you can fall on any other part of your body, it's better. And not your hands either. That's one piece of advice. Another one, round trip, above timberline, have people flying down at you. The more time you're above timberline, the worse you're gonna feel. You're all out of breath above timberline.
Unless you're Mac.
Well, if you're Matt Carpenter, none of the rules apply. But if you're a mortal, you know, you get above timberline, you're huffing and puffing, and you think, like in a normal race, oh, I'll pull over and catch my breath. That doesn't
You
work
left your breath
above
at bottom.
timberline. Yeah, you're not going to catch your breath above timberline. So the key is you don't stop above timberline. Trip, you have to yield to downhill runners. Yield, not stop. You can wobble off the side of the road. I see a lot of people, they're tired, they're above timberline, they see somebody. He's coming toward them, a quarter mile away. Oh, thank God. I can stop now. That really ticks off the people behind you. Don't do that.
To add a little physiology to it, and if there are any physiologists out there, you can fact check me on this. The respiration, so you're breathing more and more frequently the higher you go, and that's why it's kind of harder to actually catch your breath, because it takes longer.
and you're not going to recover by stopping above timberline. You don't see this so much, but when I first started running this race, the area below the cirque was known as the battlefield. And it was called that because when you got there, you would see bodies strewn all over the rocks. Here's the
Runners of
thing.
years past.
What it is the most comfortable rocks on Earth are up there. And when you're on your way
Little memory
up,
foam plug over there.
and you say, oh, I think I'll just stop and catch my breath on this rock, you'd be amazed at how comfortable those rocks are. Oh, you could spend an hour just reclining on one of those boulders.
Is that where they're
Don't
camping
do
up
it.
there?
But that'll kill you. I mean, you know, you can spend 3 hours on those last 3 miles. You don't want to do that.
Save that for Monday.
Yeah. Bingo. Anything else you want to know?
Winning Powerball numbers.
I reserve those.
Fair enough. Can we pass the mic to Janae?
Absolutely.
32 Ascent finishes and 4 wins. Let's hear it.
I have a fan club.
What brings you to Pikes Peak?
So it's my favorite race in the world, and I've been running for 50 years. So every year I plan my schedule around this race. And I mostly do triathlon now. I'm 64. So I went from being a fast runner to having chronic injuries. So from overall to just...
That led to triathlon, right?
Yeah, because I only ran in college and then ran for Reebok. And so it was my life until I had a bunch of injuries. So I found triathlon, and I've been doing that for 18 years. So I still, though, plan my triathlons around Pikes Peak. And I'm a triathlon coach, and I have 3 people racing, 4, 1 in New York, 3 and so I would love to do races with them, but not if it conflicts with this race. So, so I do it every year.
And you come down and you jump in the pool afterwards for a swim?
No, I try to plan my triathlon season to be done before Pikes Peak. So I don't do a lot of running, but at my age, y'all know as we've aged, we don't run fast the whole way. I used to jog the whole way until a couple of years ago. I had a broken femur from a bike crash. So I didn't run at all for a couple of years, but I still did the race. And it became more of a hike than a run, which is fun. It's still, you're spending more time in the beauty, and I still love it every single year. I look forward to the race. I know every turn, like all of you. You know, you've done it so many times. Yeah, and all the rocks, but I only do the Ascent. I've had no desire ever, and will never, want to do the round. I mean, this sounds horrible. I'm sorry. So I come back because I love it.
Amazing. And what are you looking forward to most?
I think I've had some different experiences over the years. My favorite was 2016, where a friend called me and asked if I would consider guiding a blind runner, and no blind runner had ever attempted the Ascent in 2016. So Luann Burke turns out we were born on the same day of the same year. We were 58. So when she called and asked if I would be her guide, and she's completely blind, it took me a while to think about it. If you can imagine putting a blindfold on and going all the way to the top and not seeing any rocks, she couldn't even see color. She put a mask on because the light and dark was confusing to her. So there was another guy, Jess, and I that took turns. We each took an hour with Luann, and she just wanted to make the cutoff. And I can tell you, of all the 30-some years, that was my hardest race ever. It's continual talking, step here, turn here. I'm holding her hand as she tried to go through the 16 golden stairs. She had shin guards on, and she swears like a sailor. I'm like, we're getting close to the top. Stop swearing, Luann, you're gonna make it. And she made it by like 8 minutes. When we got to A-frame, I was giving her food and she's spitting it in my hand. Ugh, I don't like that, right? I mean, it's like gross. But I said, I don't know how much time we have. And the guy said, well, the cutoff is up another minute and you only have 3 minutes. I'm like, Luann, we're going, So anyway, she made it to the top and finished, and 6:18 or 6:20 or something. So that was my most memorable. And that year I was kind of training and kind of wanted to win my age group. But when I look back, that was the most meaningful race that I ever did. So
Super cool.
And now I just love every step of it. I'm not worried about competing or my time. I still have a couple hours before the cutoff, or an hour maybe, I don't know. But I'll keep coming back. I said when I was in my 20s, I did it first in 1985. I said I'm going to do it until I'm 80. And at the time, I kept watching results, and no 80-year-old had finished under the cutoff. Until Donna, did you finish under the cutoff? I did also.
You're not 80.
Well, maybe. She was 82. Well, I was
Wow.
thinking, yeah. So
Let's hear it. Come on.
So if you're a previous overall winner, you get to be in the front, group one, no matter how slow you are, like me. Like it takes me almost twice as long as it used to. And here is Donna standing on the start line, and they gave us our age on her bib. So I was 63 or 62, and I saw her with 80 on her bib. I'm like, she's gonna do it. And she had hiking boots on too. I'm like, didn't you? They were running, but they were high tops. Anyway, I'm like, if she can do it. And of course, in wave one, the fast people just take off, you know? And so here I am thinking, oh, it's Donna and I back here, and all the waves are passing you on your left, you know? But when I saw she finished, and I didn't know you did, Yvonne, so now I wasn't watching that close until I'm getting close to 80. So that's my plan, to keep coming back till I'm 80. Or until Ron says, you're gonna be one of those old ladies asking me to change the cutoff. Like, no, I can't go down though. I have all the running injuries with knees and everything. I'm really scared of getting close to the cutoff. If they turn me around at A-frame, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because horses, they have horses. I grew up riding horses, so anyway, yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
There was a man named George that wanted to run the Mount Washington Ascent, which is an uphill race in New Hampshire, until he was 100 years old, and his goal was to cross the finish line at 100 and drop dead and die. And I had the privilege of seeing him in his late 90s, and I think I was there when he was 100. But he did it. He was doing it up until 100. He did not drop dead, but he was doing the race up until that age. So you might want to bump your age limit up
100? I don't know. So Kim and I both have done Mount Washington several times. And Matt Carpenter and I went there the first year. They invited us, and they didn't like us very much. We both won overall, Mount Washington, because it was such low elevation,
Tops out of what, 6,000?
Yeah, like 6,000 is the top, right? So you're not breathing hard at all. It's super fun. So anyway.
Thank you. Can we pass it over to Donna?
Where's Donna?
Yeah, I love this marathon too. So I've done it over 50 years, but I've only done it 18 times because first we lived in Colorado, and my husband and I did it the first time in 72, and then the last time I did it was 51 years later, and that's when I turned 80, and that was 2 years ago. And I'm not doing it this year, but I'm not. When I get down there, I think, oh, I should have trained for this. I should be out there doing that. So we'll see. But
do you know any race directors that could get you in? She's laughing too seriously.
Yeah. Well, when we first started running, there was a limit on the age for the kids. And so even our kids, 6 of our kids have run this. And our son Eric did it when he was 7. And our daughter Lori did it when she was 8.
Okay, so no excuses out there.
Well, but you have to be 16 now. But, they've changed that. But they still love to be active. It didn't thwart them in any way. It is a place you can get injured. It's the only 2 times I've ever had stitches in my life. They were both coming downhill, out of control. And one was, I was way below bar camp. I don't remember where I was exactly, but I wiped out, and it was just like a hand thing, but I had lots of stitches. And then I was really trying to break a record. I don't remember what year it was, but I was just flying down the hill. I mean, or at least it felt like it. And then I was flying through the air. And then I had a knee that looked like hamburger.
Did you land the way Brendan was explaining?
I did not turn over on my back, but it did knock the wind out of me. And then, the knee, but then what can you do? You just still keep going. They want to fix you all up, and I let them fix me. I was so impatient. Hurry and get that first aid done. And anyway, then I made it down, and it wasn't my best time ever, but anyway, it was fun. And, I love the people on this mountain. I do love the mountain. I love coming back to Colorado. My family, even the younger people in my family, it's one of their goals always. They want to go and do Pikes Peak because grandma or great grandma did. And
but your time is better than theirs, right? You gotta keep it.
oh, I gotta tell you this really funny story. So one time I was going up, and my teenage boy was in the race, was in it too, and he went out too fast, and so somewhere in the last 3 miles, he was, slogging along with this other kid, and the kid looks back and he says, "Don't look now, Mike, but there's some dame that's gonna pass us." And he looks back and he said, "That's my mom." And I did pass them. So yeah, that's my bragging rights. All of us could tell stories forever, but let's pass it around.
Thank you. Can you pass the mic to Sharon? Oh, okay. To Janice. No Janice. All right, moving right along. Can we pass to Rick?
I know Rick's there.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, some ways it's gratifying to learn that I'm not the oldest old timer here. But let me tell you, it's gratifying to hear names like Walt Stack. I remember him from long ago. He was the head guy of what was called a running club from San Francisco, the Dolphin South End Running Club. Their emblem was a turtle in running shoes. Their slogan was, "Start off slow and taper off." I came to know them from my first race here in 1973. I think I heard rumors about something on Pikes Peak when I was going to school, going to college in Boulder in the late 60s. But it wasn't until the early 70s when, after I graduated, I was running with some of my former teammates in the old Colorado track club. Pikes Peak, only crazies run that, but I could never figure out what were they talking about. I don't think I'd ever even been to Colorado Springs, period, at that time. I'm a native of Colorado, yes. Born and bred, but always lived in a small town called Ouray, southwestern Colorado. When I finally learned what it was 1972, I said, just a minute, I've got to do that. Because from day one, my first run ever was a mountain run in 1963 when I was 15 years old.
And the mountains in Ouray are second to none.
The thing is, Ouray is a mountain town, much more so than Manitou Springs. And we get snow, and you have to learn to deal with snow. Well, 73, I came to run the race, knew nothing about the place. I drove down after work Friday evening, camped out on a cow pasture just above the road into Manitou Spring here. Cow pasture, right next to the road. Got up in the morning, my Jeep conked out after 2 or 3 spins of the engine, coasted all the way to town, and I ended up parking right at the finish line. I knew nothing about this town, where the race started, where it went, or anything, just by luck. And lo and behold, that first year, I ran the race and broke the record by 1 second, which was a total surprise to me. You have to understand, when I first began running in Ouray, basically I ran by myself. The only time I ever saw the runners was the day of a race. First time I ever ran with anybody was my freshman year in college. So basically I was a renegade, only way to put it. I knew nothing about socializing with other runners or anything, and I still don't. 99% of my runnings have been completely by myself. Only 2 people have ever run with me in my life. And that was, most recent was a guy named Ricky Denisick. The guy, I can't think of his name right offhand. He won the race in 78 when I was not here. It'll come to me in a minute here. At any rate, here's the difference, everybody here. In the 70s, there was no such thing as aid stations. You left the starting line and saw nobody, nothing, till you got to the summit. Turned around and came back. Aid station? What the hell is an aid station? The last time I ran it was 1992, and I was amazed to see aid stations all along the way.
You forgot to say that at the top of the mountain, Moonsfall handed you 2 cherries.
That is absolutely true. He handed it to me. So what do I do with these things? And I'll say this. Rudy Fall, once again, I never saw him except the day of the race, but I'm sure that race kept going in the 50s and the 60s through the 70s because of his enthusiasm. He was very enthusiastic. And after him, it was Carl McDaniels. Those are names from the past for young people here, but the race now has I can see so many volunteers and everything, but in those days, Rudy is basically a one-man committee. That's all there was to it. But we got through it. And also a difference between the 70s and today is that in the 70s, there were very, very few mountain runs anywhere. I made a point of trying to run every mountain race I could learn about in the United States. The only one I ever got to was Mount Washington, because it was always held in June, and to me, June, come on now, we're just coming out of a heavy winter. Mountains are still covered with snow, and I consider myself out of shape. So I never went to Mount Washington, and I've often wondered what would happen if I had. But that's easy to say now. Another example is my career of Little Ouray, Colorado. Through the 70s, when I was working at a mine outside of Ouray, I would see somebody in a trail run. I run the trails in the summer. I'd see somebody once every 2 or 3 years. It was that rare an occasion. So rare that I actually stop and talk to them and see who they were and where they come from, what were they doing here, because it was something you didn't really see. Now, running and mountain running, trail running has become super, super popular. And if I go for a hike or a run and don't see somebody, that is something to take note of in my diaries. So we go on and on and on and on. I'm amazed here, I'm 50 years later. I'm still staggering up the hills, guys. I hope to continue doing it. And I've been, let's put it this way, I've run as high as 16,400 feet elevation in the high Andes of Chile and Argentina. That was my work. My work took me to over 20,000 feet, sampling rocks and everything else, these 6,000 meter peaks in the high Andes. But to me, there's been some fantastic races that I've seen, like there used to be a stage race between La Serena, Chile and San Juan, Argentina over Agua Negra Pass, which is 15,600 feet. It's like a 3-day race, stage race. But the thing is, Pike's Peak to me is a spectacular challenge. When I first learned about it, I just had to do it. It was an irresistible challenge. That's what I've been doing since day one, but how can what would happen if, I've never run a marathon in the mountains before. So I had no idea what to expect. The thing I remember when I ran the race was, remember there was no aid stations. On the way down, the thirst was downright painful. There was always on the trail below bar camp where I'd leave the trail, drop down to the creek, and just gorge myself in water. And until you're really thirsty, you have no idea what it can taste. but it only lasted for a few minutes, and there was that thirst again. So aid stations are certainly helpful. I don't know what else I can say.
Rick, I was out in Ouray 4 years ago in February of 2021, and I saw someone who looked like you running uphill in the snow at 8,000 feet. So you are an inspiration. It might not have been you, but it looked like you. You're an inspiration to all of us, and to just be able to do that for as long as you've been doing it and continue to enjoy it. We can all be so lucky to be able to do that. So thank you for sharing your story and for giving me motivation on that random February 2021 day. Even if it wasn't you.
Here's something. I have two nieces who are ultramarathoners. One of them lives full-time in Ouray. The other lives in Castle Rock. But I don't know. I have to be very careful. I don't know if I'm an inspiration or a curse to them. Let's put it that way.
A little bit of both.
And one of them has a daughter who's, I think, is going to be carrying on for the next generation too. She's just a freshman in high school, but she's a fantastic runner, living in Europe. So
amazing.
Okay.
Can we pass? Thank you. Can we pass the mic to Scott?
Thank you, Rick.
Scott has 8 Ascent wins and a very speedy Ascent. Scott, what brings you back?
I wanted to mingle with all these legends.
You're a part of the legends. Okay, so for the first time though, what brought you to Pikes Peak?
I attended Colorado College. I transferred, didn't transfer, I moved out here from New Jersey after high school.
It's a good transfer.
Yeah. And I'll never forget the moment I stepped off the plane on a recruiting trip to Colorado College. And for the first time, I saw that. And I was just blown away because all I'd seen is pictures and pamphlets and brochures. And the cross-country coach gave me and my mother a ride into town, and he was saying various things about the college. And then he just happened to see me looking at the mountain, and he said, "Oh yeah, there's a race up that." And I said, "No, there isn't." You're kidding. And 1 year later, I did it for the first time when I was 19.
What was that day like for you? Had you ever done anything like that?
Oh no.
They don't have mountains like that in New Jersey?
There's tiny little bumps.
What guidance do you have for someone doing it for the first time?
Well, it really depends on your personality. Some of you are ultra competitors and really want to push yourselves and also want to beat whoever's nearby. Others of you are here for your experience and just to enjoy how it feels and what it looks like and everything that happens along the way. So for those of you who are competitors, if you haven't trained, you're going to pay for it. If you have trained,
you're going to pay for it.
You'll pay less for it. I want to give a shout out to the people who have for years run. I made that my home base, which is halfway up the trail. And I use that as my sort of high altitude final polishing for the weeks before the race. And I really think it made a big difference, but I understand most of you aren't living here and can't do that, but altitude tents and other science stuff. So you can go as far as you want with it with tech, but I think having time on the trail is by far the most important.
Love it. Thank you. Can we pass the mic to Caroline? Another peak buster, and you ran across America.
I ran across the United States in 1984, Boston to San Francisco, with Annabelle Marsh, one of the founders of Peak Busters. Annabelle and Kay came with Walt Stack. I know Walt very well. You've mentioned his name. I've lived in San Francisco 58 years. Now, this is before internet and photos and stuff. And Walt and Annabelle would say, hey, come to Pikes Peak. You can do it. And we'd come over for a week, 30 or 40 of us, always stay in the same motel. We trained. We also had a lot of fun. And I never placed. I'm a back of the pack runner and loved it. I finished. It's the greatest thrill in my life, probably even more so or equal, making it to the Golden Gate Bridge. But I was in charge of Peak Busters. We encouraged women to do it. At the peak, we would have like 140 Peak Busters come to our meetings on Thursday afternoons. We gave all the first timers either a trophy or a plaque. We put on a program. Margie Allison, who also has won the marathon a few times, she did our bracelet. And what Margie always said, run until it gets too hard. Walk until it gets too easy. We also had another famous runner who would come over with us, Sister Marion Irvine. And Marion would always say, all you have to do is put one foot front of the other foot and keep going. I don't want to, we've got more people to talk. I just want to say, when I first came over, the mountain was 14,110 feet. Somehow it grew 5 feet. So it took a little longer to get up. And when we first came over, we'd look up like probably many of you and say, oh, that's Pikes Peak. Boy, that's straight up. That's not Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak is behind Mount Manitou. My one advice is do not overdo going up Mount Manitou. Take it easy because you've got to do those last 3 miles, as it's been mentioned, from A-frame. I helped many women go up. I think I took the oldest lady in 1988. I think she still has the record, Bess James. I think she was 88 or 89. That was before cutoffs. It took us 8 hours and 10 minutes. It was a long day, but we did it. I don't want to, you got more people, and I'm sure you people have questions, and I know these runners have answers. And we have great Peak Busters up here. We're still getting, we talk with one another, we stay in touch, we just don't have meetings. My last race was 2005, I'll never forget it. I didn't even think I'd live because of the storm. but Ron got us off the mountain and we made it. Sister Marion, though, got stopped, just leaving bar camp, and they said, the race has stopped. You've got to go down. She said, well, I have a problem. I don't go downhill. And they brought Sister Marion down on a horse to bar camp and the cutoff to the train. There's a long story with it, and someday maybe we'll tell the rest of it.
Thank you. Can we pass it over to Matt? Matt has some historic finishes on this course and records and whatnot. Matt, what brings you to Pikes Peak?
Well, I was running on the roads at the time in a thing called the Triple Crown of Running, and we did a 10K downtown Colorado Springs, and then we did the 10 mile in the Garden of the Gods, and it was like, I'm going to do that. That sounds fun. And I didn't know anything about mountain running, and I drove down here, I saw that mountain, I pointed to it, and I said, I am Pikes Peak. And I jumped in the race, and at the time, the previous
Pikes Peak.
The previous winner was Chester Carl. So I followed Chester Carl thinking I knew what I was doing. And I had a strategy with my friend that drove down. I had M&Ms, and I was going to drop green M&Ms on the trail if things were going well. I was going to drop red M&Ms if things weren't going well. Suffice it to say, I ran out of red M&Ms. We got to make it a little bit shorter, we got to the A-frame. And now when you're up there, they have signs and there's painting on the rock. But I missed the turn, and I just started to cry because it got so steep and it was so foggy. And I heard out of the voice, the trail's over here. And I was like, thank you, thank you. I felt bad about passing that guy, but I never saw the winner. And that was this guy right here, Scott Elliott, his first of 6 wins. And I got to the top, I laid down I was driving down with my friend. I'm like, you got to pull over. And I puke all over. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, you are Pikes Peak, all right.
So how do you take a race like that and then what you've done on this mountain and like what was in between that? How did you get from where you started there to what you were able to do on this mountain?
Well, I don't like to lose. The race had beaten me. And even when I won, even when I set records, the race still beat me. But, you know, you have to be honest with yourself, look at what you did wrong, and change it. And I was fortunate at that time that I had people like Scott Elliott who, to make a pun, raised the bar. And chasing Scott made me get to a new level. And then, you know, Ricardo Mejia came over from Mexico and he raised the bar because he beat me the first time that we raced in. And so each time I'm trying to get better and better. And, you know, I'm fortunate to have a lot of wins, but to this day, I remember the 5 losses more than the wins.
And the max of 900 helps too, right?
It's actually 90, but that I was lucky and found my sport. But even that, you know, people will tell you you can and you can't do things. When I was in college, I tested with a VO2 of 57, and they're like, that's not bad, but that's not good, and it's genetic. You can't train it. But I did research and found out that you do a 1-to-1 work-rest ratio, and I improved my VO2. And I got a 90, and they're like, oh, well, it's genetic that yours is trainable because it's supposed to be there. But your economy, which is like your gas mileage, it was kind of poor. And they said, well, that's why your VO2 is so high, because your economy is poor. But that's genetic. You can't train that. But I looked at what Myler Steve Scott did, and that's what you have to do. You have to do research, and Steve Scott did a 5-to-1 work rest ratio. And I did that over a summer, and I came back, and my economy was good. It was above normal. And of course, they said, well, it's genetic that yours is trainable. So in the end, it is genetic, but it's probably from the neck up. You have to be smart about your training. You can't get paralysis by analysis. You can't do it too far. But you know, you go out and you experiment, you know, and you find out what works for you and what doesn't, because we're all just experiments of one.
Yeah.
You're known for how meticulous you are and dialed in. Do you have some fun stories of little ways you just were dialed in a way that most people would never even consider experimenting with or trying?
Well, like for fuel, I started, I didn't want to go the ups and downs on the sugar, because a lot of people, they wait till an aid station and then they take that. So I tried an experiment where I took my power bars and I dumped it right into the Camelback so it dissolved. And then I would take 3 sips every 10 minutes, and that would give me 300 calories per hour. Now, it backfired because the first time I did it, it was an ultra, and I didn't realize you had to turn in your gear beforehand so they could take it to the aid station, and it had fermented. But I was stuck. I had to drink it, so I spent hours after that race puking all over again. But the point was, once I figured out that it should be gels and not power bars, 10 minutes into the race, I already had 50 calories, and most people have none. And I kept my energy levels the same the whole time.
Yeah, the fueling aspect, particularly as you get higher, becomes even more important. As we've heard, you get thirsty up there, the water is important, and getting the electrolytes and getting the carbs in there. Great tip. Anything else for people who are running their first time, their 10th time, their 50th time? What do you recommend to them?
Well, it's hard to tell other people what to do, but I always think of the Pink Floyd song "Comfortably Numb," but I refer to it more as you have to be comfortably uncomfortable. You never want to be uncomfortably uncomfortable, and if you can get that dialed in, that'll go a long way to saving your day. Because if you're at the bottom and things are feeling uncomfortably uncomfortable, you need to back it off a little and listen to your body. It never lies. It always tells you what you need to do and what you don't need to do. And most importantly, train. Be smart with your training, because this mountain doesn't care about us. It doesn't care what we do. It's gonna eat us up and spit us out no matter what we do.
You have about 15 hours left. You can still train. I want to thank everyone on the panel here, and Kim for co-hosting here. Appreciate you all sharing your amazing stories over the years. Appreciate everyone listening today. We're gonna have another elite athlete panel at 4 o'clock. But I want to thank everyone here. And do we have a photographer that can grab a quick photo? Thank you so much. And we're gonna stand. Oh, we have one. Yes.
There's one person missing up here, and I know most of you met her or not, and that's Arlene Pfeiffer. So she passed away a couple years ago, and we so wish she could be here. We miss Sister Marion as well as Steve. We've lost some amazing, beautiful people recently, and they should be memorized. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of us who are here, we're going to stand up and grab a little photo. And again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Let's hear it for these legends.
Tell us where you want us. Just in a group right here in the center would be awesome. Where you can see all the faces. I'll hide behind there. Alright, see everybody. Let's go right here. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you all. Thank you.
From the trailhead to the summit, Mazefit smartwatches help runners track every step.